Today I want to talk about why autistic people, like a lot of us, tend to supposedly fixate on logic, or put too much on logic, or be obsessed with logic. But like, we're not just obsessed with it for no reason. I mean, we're not cold, hard, heartless, soulless, whatever that you think. It's for a reason. It's because the logic of being good. It's the logic of wanting to do right. It's the logic of, like for example, uh, like um like I only see it as logical to do right, because I guess because I'm not somebody that wants to do wrong, and maybe I didn't realize that before. I just thought that like anybody who was logical, using a certain definition of, I was using a different definition of logic as other people do. Like, other people are just like, to get what they want, they use this logic formula. But like, for me, logic meant, like, about truth, about what's right and what's wrong, about, like, um, about how to figure out that truth, about how to, like, and mm, so for me, knowing how to, like, do things logically, and that, like, I know that logic saves lives, and that's why I even care about it. I mean, that's why anybody who is a logical good person cares about it, or who, wants to be anyone who wants to be a good person, who, is therefore, a good person underneath, and like, well, is logical in that way, because they'll want to use logic to, like, for good in the world, and they'll want to, like, be logical about good in the world, and about how to, like, do it, and why to do it, why to be logical, why to, like, for example, um like um like, if something is unfair, you're gonna, like, point out the illogic in it. If something is unfair to somebody and is hurting somebody, then, like, sometimes I would just point out the illogic in it, rather than, like, talk about feelings in depth, like, because I thought that people understood that, like, what I was talking about was feelings, but it turns out a lot of people didn't understand that, like, what I was trying to say. They thought that I was trying to just be smarter than them, or look smarter than them, or they thought that I was just a soulless, robot, or they thought that, like, they didn't think that I actually cared. And that was, like, the farthest thing from the truth. I was so upset about, things being illogical, because they were unfair, because it was, in a sense, that it was unfair to other people, or to me, or to somebody, and or potentially unfair. And I was just trying to do the right thing, and I was just trying to, like, do good. And sometimes we all screw up when we do good, and we seem like, like we're, we seem like we're just trying to be smarter than somebody else, even if we're not, and or we seem like we're just mindlessly, soullessly, like, robotic, and pretending, programmed to pretend to be human. And that is not the truth. That is not even possible. Like, some people think they're just so, like, being so logical about, about that, and they're not, because, like, how could that even work? Um, like, just, programmed to pretend to, like, exist. Like, what? Like, existence is life. Anyway, that's a whole other debate. That's a spiritual thing, but it's also a very logical thing. And and the belief that, and we wanted to, you know a lot of us want to prove spirituality logically, because we want to, like, prove it to people, so that they know that it's true, so that they know that it's real, so that they have hope, so that they have, like, some joy from the hope, that knowing that and the security, knowing that and the freedom that it brings, knowing that everybody, will be okay, and, like, at the end, like, in the afterlife, everybody will be okay, and all that. People just want to, but we want proof, just, like, not because we're just some sort of soulless person, or because we're trying to, like, act smart, but because we actually want proof, so that we can reassure ourselves, mm, and so that we can reassure others that, like, something good is true. I mean, we have the same, we have souls, we are souls, just like you are, and so please, just don't even go there, unless you want a verbal lashing from me. Like, just don't go there. um I mean, go there, but you'll get a verbal lashing from me if you do. If you do it around me, or if you try and do it to somebody that I care about, or you know, it's just so dehumanizing um to believe, like, and to have others believe, or to have it hammered into us that we're soulless, or that's why we're into logic, that we're these cold hard scientists that don't really care on any kind of, like, either personal level, or even on an altruistic level, or even on a emotional level, or even like as if we don't have feelings, and therefore and if somebody doesn't have, like, if you say that somebody doesn't have feelings, that means that they're not alive, and that means that you can kill them without saying you killed anybody, because, oh, they were dead anyway, I didn't kill anybody, they were already dead. Oh, you see, and then they can kill us because they think we're already dead, so they think that harming us isn't going to harm us. And that is a very dangerous thing when they start thinking we don't have feelings, because we do, and we have them just as much as you do. Mm. Everybody, now, but I know that, like, everybody, like, has equal, like, feelings, like, not the same feelings all the time as everybody else, obviously not, that's not what I mean. What I mean is just everybody is as much alive as everybody else, and you know some people just don't express it in the way that certain others recognize as life. So, like, that is when people start dehumanizing others and everything, and um everybody gets dehumanized by someone who doesn't recognize who they are as life, as a form of life. Like, it's not good. And I hope that, like, well, I mean, I know that, like, eventually this, which is the problem in the world, the problem in the universe, is dehumanization, like, or just, like, not treating any sentient being like they're a sentient being, or flat out denying they're a sentient being, or saying they're not, and who do we don't have the right to say somebody is not a sentient being. We don't know what's in their head. And we do know, however, that they, if we see any kind of emotion, any kind of love in them, then it's there. We're not imagining it. And we need to stop, like, with all of this, like, trying to protect ourselves by, being, like, inhumane, by, calling others inhuman, or, like, just not sentient or anything, and I think I'm being logical here, and some people will say I'm not, because, well, I mean, obviously, somebody's going to, say I'm not, because everybody has somebody saying they're not. But my belief is that I am, because I know that I am. I mean, I logically believe that I'm making sense here, um, and like, I can't just, like, fall for anything, because, like, you have to stand for something, and I'm not just standing for something to stand for something. I mean, mm, that's not logical either. That's just stupid. Like, just to have standards, you just pick out a bunch of random rules that you try and enforce. I mean, that's tyranny, But I'm not trying to do that at all. I'm just saying, we have, well, if you follow one rule in life, make that rule be, remember that everybody is an equally, infinitely, permanently sentient being, um, and treat them accordingly. And that's basically the golden rule. It's like, treat others the way you want to be treated. But I would say it's more, treat others like like they are sentient, which is how you want to be treated. And that will look different. Like, that will look like treating people the way they want to be treated. So and I think that's logical. Like, how is that not logical? I mean, people think that you can't be both logical and and, like, empathetic or whatever. They think that they're opposites, but that's just something to keep people, like, fighting each other. It's something that somebody might have created. Like, saying that this and this are opposites, to keep people who have different ways of explaining the same thing fighting each other, instead of getting together and, like, making the world a better place. And and they have, is to dehumanize people too, to make everybody feel like they're dehumanized, and like like they're not even human, and like other people are not even human, and to keep everybody separated from each other and from their own reality of themselves, so that we don't pose a threat to the higher ups, who the self-proclaimed and um self like identified and like, you know, like self-positioned, I don't know how to say it, I forget, but like higher ups, who in society who just want to run everything and run everyone, even if it ruins everyone and even if it kills everyone, and except themselves. But they're going to be very lonely if they kill everybody except themselves, because then they're going to turn on each other and kill each other, and then there's going to be one person left, and that person will just be so lonely. And who do they have now to control? Just themselves. Okay, I'll blow my brains out, they say, and they blow their brains out. And then there's the end of a humanity right there, extinction. And we don't want that. We don't want that to happen. And I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I really don't believe that's going to happen. I don't think it might not even be possible for that to happen. But we just have to humanize like each other, and like humanizing each other means knowing that that we're not dehumanizing, like everybody is humanizing each other in their own way, but unless they're actually believing and saying flat out, hey, this person is less than human, or less than sentient, like even if they're not a person, even if it's an animal that they're talking about, or anything alive or anything, but like including like the souls of the dead. I mean, like, I believe in that too, that stuff, I believe in that stuff. It'll that's another video, I guess. But I'm going off on some tangents, but they're related and necessary tangents, because it all ties in. And so like we're not soulless, like I don't know what you want to say, like we're not all like, I mean, and no, none of us is soulless. Like none of us is just like, okay, like it's okay to harm this person or say this about that person because they're soulless anyway, they won't mind anyway, or or they deserve it. But if they deserve it, but if they supposedly deserve it, but yet if they mind, then doesn't that mean that they are a soul if they care? If they mind, it means they care. And if they don't mind, well, maybe they don't mind because they know that that you'll come around eventually, and that you know and that they have better things to do than to like feed into that by, it depends on how people deal with things, and people deal with things in different ways, and that's okay. It takes all kinds of people to make a world. And that's my little, like, TED talk, I guess, about like logic, versus, I mean, that's one of the ones that's going to be about logic versus like supposedly versus emotion in that. But it's logical to take emotion into account, and it's and what makes us happy is to take logic into account. So what's wrong with them being the same thing underneath it all and behind it all and above it all, and within it all, as it all, and we lose track of that. Well, when we forget who we are, when we forget who each other is, when we instead focus on what's not there instead of what's there, mm, we focus on the empty space around us instead of on the people around us, and within each other too, and within ourselves. So if this makes sense at all, then like I'm glad that I helped somebody, and if it doesn't, then move along, okay?